just re-zeroing my Toxin. Absolutely love this 3-18 from Telson. This is a mill version of the Toxin. I'm a mill shooter. Love the reticle. It's been extremely versatile. There isn't a rifle that I own that I wouldn't put this on, including a couple of my like kind of short barrel stuff. I would put this on just about everything. The only thing I have to be careful of is the Sharps Bros chassis. It's kind of tall, so I can't put on a really thick barrel or a thick carbon fiber barrel on my Ruger American. And then I usually have to run a 50 millimeter with lower rings, which works out just fine because the Toxin is right there for specifications. It's just the flip up eye caps or eye covers I have to worry about, lens covers on the front. But I typically just run a neoprene cover over it, since I'm going to use this for a lot of other things and I don't need the flip up caps for this operation. I'm going to go ahead and take a few shots. I've got the bubble level on top and the bubble level in the rail from Anarchy Outdoors. Those are really helpful. Man, I love this scope. Just an excellent, excellent piece of glass. One of the better images I've run on any of my 3-18s. It's one of the reasons I love it. It has a really good image and a super solid reticle. All right, hang tight. I'm gonna take a few shots, zero it real quick, and come back and talk a little bit more about some of the Anarchy Outdoors stuff and why it's so important to me on this build. Okay, so one of the reasons that it was a big deal to me to get some of the Anarchy upgrades on here is, number one, this Ruger American came with a 0 MOA rail. I don't have a lot to say about that other than it's just really frustrating because almost all our modern scopes can handle, you know, a 15 or 20 MOA rail at the minimum. That's just modern optics. They can handle that. You get into exposed turret optics and usually they can handle a 30 or even a 40 or 50 or 60 MOA rail. So I was just a little underwhelmed by the original rail that the rifle came with, not to mention the bolt handle and bolt knob was something that frustrated me on the original, mostly for one reason, but I'll get to that. The improvement on the Anarchy set here would be in the angle and the feel, the actual feel of the bolt going forward and back. And there are other improvements you could make to the internals on this that are on the Anarchy website, but I want to start with this. So it's a bolt handle and knob, both, that have increased the feel and function of loading this thing. And it's really easy to do. I didn't even have a tool to break down the bolt. I did it with a screwdriver. If you are careful, you can do it with a flathead or with a standard. And yeah, switching this over to a reduced angle, it's not just aesthetic. It actually changes the feel when you're behind the rifle. And the original bolt knob on the Ruger American that I had, at least, that one was just anemic. And I'm not saying that to try to, you know, belittle Ruger in any way. Obviously, I have one of their guns. In fact, if I remember right, they didn't send this out. This is something I purchased, the original rifle. So I liked it enough that I wanted to get into it and try it, but I just didn't like that bolt handle and knob combination. It's a really small one, and it's not comfortable in the first place. It's not conducive to shooting targets. It's not fast, and I just find that it's really tiny. And with gloves or mittens on in the winter, which, like, this is an awesome deer hunting rig in my neck of the woods where there's trees everywhere and you can only get 200 or 300 yard shots, that little tiny bolt is easy to miss. And it didn't have much of an extension out. The bulb on it is really tiny. So I'm just gonna say this Dragon Scale bolt knob is a huge improvement on its own, but then the reduced angle and the actual footprint, the way that it fits on this rifle, just allows for my hand to scoop it up a little more naturally, bring it back and send it home. And the scales are going downward. So it's not like it's gonna rip your hand up. It's just enough texture to be functional, and I can run this with gloves and mittens, I already know, because I have a couple other Anarchy bolts like that, which is why I got this one to start with. So from there, we should talk about the rail. The Anarchy Outdoors rails, I have upgraded my Rugers, my Savages. I have a couple other rifles you'll see more about. I've done some Magnums, like I did the Ruger Precision Rifle Magnum that I have in 300 PRC. I just took that to the furthest distance I ever have. Was shooting a little past 2,000 yards with it just the other day. That one I have a 40 MOA rail, and they're all pretty similar. Excellent machining, I like to go with the bubble level version personally. You don't have to, but I do like that. And I go with usually green for a color. It just contrasts and stands out nicely. But if you didn't want to go with a bubble level in your rail built in at the back, maybe you just can't see it with the ocular housing for your optic, you can go with a top mounted or tube mounted bubble level. So I have the Polymer Anarchy Outdoors bubble level mounted up top on this one. After this review, I might take this off and put it on another rifle because I trust the rail bubble level underneath. I've never had them back out or walk out, and you could, if you broke it, adjust that. You could take it out and put another capsule in, I'm pretty sure. They mount up really tight. The machining is very good. I've never, in all the rails that I've messed with, and I have messed with more than other people, with these Anarchy Outdoors rails, I've never had one be warped or machined funny or bad Picatinny or thick coating. That's another issue I've had with a couple other brands, is like all this build-up coating and bad machining. Those are cover-ups, and I haven't seen that with Anarchy. These have been really good and true to form for the actual actions I'm running with. And then excellent quality hardware, which is an important thing when it comes to rails and heavy recoiling rifles, which this one is not, but my other ones are. Finishing it off, I like the Anarchy Outdoors grips. I like the Alpha grip, I like the Tuxedo grip, I like the Penguin grip, but I've been running the Alpha grip a lot lately. It's pretty lightweight, so if you're going for the lightweight thing, this is probably one of the lighter grips that are on the market. It's really tough. There's no flex. It's not like it's going to give a bunch unless you really squeezed it. I think they're really tough, but it gives you a little bit of a shelf underneath. My hands, I have XL size hands. That's the gloves I wear anyways, and my hands can fit in there perfectly if I'm holding it the right way, especially. There's this kind of unique angle. I've seen some other companies try to do this and butcher it, do terrible, to the point where their grips are uncomfortable. Anarchy has got this angle down just right, with the right amount of swell on both sides and a thumb shelf on this side, which just helps me get an appropriate distance to my trigger. So we're empty. So getting on this trigger, I have an 8-ounce trigger on this thing. It's pretty light. I can get the right distance. I can get my thumb down and get pressure just between the fingers that I want to and not milk it with the rest. So I'm a really big fan of this grip in general. I like the texture. But this is the Anarchy Outdoors stuff that really I think everybody would appreciate. If you have a Ruger American, or basically any Ruger, if you have a Savage, almost all of them, Tikka, CZ, Winchester, I can't remember any brands that they don't service. You need to check out Anarchy Outdoors because they have some of the best prices, some of the most well thought out products, and I find that my rifles would suffer without them. So I'm pretty dedicated to this stuff because it helps me shoot further, shoot better, more comfortable, and the customization that I need as a shooter for the price point that I can actually afford.